The Jurassic World trilogy was weird and bad. Surely I don't have to explain these movies to you. They are hugely successful, hugely popular. They were based on the original Jurassic Park series of films, which in turn were based on a novel. I, like many children, had a huge dinosaur phase growing up. I found a book about dinosaurs at a Ross Dress for Less and was obsessed from then on. My dream as a child was to be a paleontologist, and now I am doing this. When I was old enough, I watched Jurassic Park, and it's still one of my favorite movies. I read the book and really enjoyed that too. I wouldn't call myself an expert on the Jurassic Park franchise, but I do like dinosaurs, so I think that makes me the target audience for these movies. And with Jurassic World Rebirth looming on the horizon, I'd like to go through these movies one by one and share my thoughts and opinions. I have a lot to say, so let's get started. Jurassic World is not that bad. Some of the criticisms I'm going to share in this segment are issues I have with the trilogy as a whole, because honestly, I really enjoy this movie. I'm not going to waste time recapping these films because, again, I'm assuming you've already seen them, which also means that this video will contain spoilers for the entire franchise. In Jurassic World, the park is successfully open, and I for one would have loved to see more of the daily operations of this park. The theme of the entire franchise is humans playing God, so I really would love to know how it worked this time around. I want to see how the park operates, the type of people who go to this park, what they do when they're there. I would have liked to see maybe short little scenes of people visiting the park, maybe the same background characters throughout the movie. That way it feels more frightening when the dinosaurs escape and you feel more attached to these people who are now being mauled by dinosaurs. The park is run by Claire Dearing, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, who also gave my least favorite performance in my favorite movie. But I actually think she does a great job in this trilogy, probably the strongest cast member in the whole thing. She's very beautiful. I was kind of mesmerized by her, I'm not gonna lie. Her nephews are visiting the park because every Jurassic Park movie has to have at least one child character that can be put in danger to raise the stakes. In my opinion, this only ever worked once because the kids have only been likable once. In the original Jurassic Park, Lex and Tim were well-written characters played by charismatic child actors, Ariana Richards and Joe Mazzello. I don't think either of them have been in much as adults, but I mean, that makes sense. I'm sure being in a Spielberg flick as a child makes you very choosy in terms of the directors you work with. I mean, that's probably why Joe Mazzello chose to work with David Fincher. Jurassic Park, both the film and the novel, were kind of about the drawbacks of ruthless business, and I think Claire is supposed to fill that role. She's very no-nonsense, she views the dinosaurs as assets and attractions for this theme park. Allegedly, audiences are growing bored with the current dinosaurs in the park, so they feel the need to genetically modify new ones, which gives us the Indominus Rex. I say allegedly because we are told that and not shown. The park itself is owned by Mr. Masrani, played by Irfan Khan, rest in peace, who sends Claire to consult with Owen Grady, a Navy veteran who now trains velociraptors. I hate Owen, I really do, and I hate this performance, but it's honestly not even Chris Pratt's fault because there is nothing to this character. I've always felt like Chris Pratt is at his best when he gets a chance to be funny or play an everyman type character. I unironically think the Lego Movie is his best role.
Zap, 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 pow, zap, pow. What are they looking at?
I was recently re-watching Parks and Rec for no reason, and I think he might be the funniest cast member in that show, which is crazy. If you had told me that one day Chris Pratt would be the biggest star from that show, I probably would believe you, but if you told me it was because he would become Hollywood's biggest action hero, no, I still don't understand how that happened. And I haven't seen these movies, but I would assume that that's why Guardians of the Galaxy works, because he kind of gets to be both. With Owen, it seems like the writers want him to be Ian Malcolm and say snarky quips about the dinosaurs, but they also want him to be an unstoppable action hero. But he just says some dumb line and everyone thinks he's the coolest, toughest, smartest guy ever.
This one's called Blue. She's the beta.
Who's the alpha?
You're looking at him, kid.
Owen's entire relationship with Claire is him teasing her about their past hookup and telling her what to do. There's also this weird subplot about how the kids' parents are getting a divorce.
Divorce can be so painful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think this is supposed to make us care more about the kids, but it does not work. If a kid is being chased by dinosaurs, I already feel bad for them. It doesn't matter what their home life is like. It's not like Jurassic Park had a scene where Lex was like, "Hey Tim, I saw that cardboard cutout in your closet. Is there something you want to tell me?" I do like the relationship between Claire and her nephews, and Claire and her sister, but in my opinion, we don't get enough of either. That would have been an easy way to get us emotionally invested in these characters. Honestly, I think instead of sticking them with a babysitter, Claire should have had the kids follow her around, even though she doesn't want them to, trying to awkwardly bond with them, and that way, when the dinosaurs get loose, they're all in danger together. This movie does have exciting moments, like when Owen goes to investigate the Indominus enclosure after they think it's escaped, and then they realize it's been in there the whole time.
It's in the cage! It's in there with you!
Go!
I can't help but feel like they showed their hand too early with the Indominus. I wish they had only showed us its feet or its claws as it snatched people up, then saved the big reveal for when it busts out of its cage like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. The original Jurassic Park is known for its special effects, the animatronics, the CGI, and it still holds up really well today. Jurassic World is all CGI, done by Industrial Light and Magic, and it does look really good, credit where credit's due. But I wish they had included more practical effects and animatronics instead of endless CGI. I know it's much cheaper, but a movie like this has a nearly limitless budget. Like, why are we sparing expenses right now? The visuals are too smooth, too clean, too bright. There's this bluish filter over everything, which I think is just how movies look now. Everything has to be blue or yellow, depending on where you are in the world. In my opinion, practical special effects raise the stakes of the film because these actors are interacting with a real thing that they can physically touch. It makes the dinosaurs feel like more of a threat because they're really there. That being said, I do like the idea of a dinosaur that can camouflage, which is apparently because it has cuttlefish DNA, I don't know. I also love the idea of giving Henry Wu a bigger antagonistic role in these movies. He spearheaded the genetic modification of these dinosaurs, which I think dates back to the original books. Also, B.D. Wong was in Mr. Robot with Rami Malek, but I don't know what that has to do with anyone from Jurassic Park. We follow the kids around the park, love Simon Has No Game. Oh my god, is that Nurse Lucafont? And I like the gyrospheres. It feels like a real theme park thing, and they get a lot of action out of these balls. For some reason, they put Jimmy Fallon inside the balls, and I just love the kids' reaction. Just giving him nothing. The best part of this movie is the theme park stuff. The glimpses we get of the attractions, the day-to-day operations, the design of the park. Towards the end of the movie, the flying dinosaurs get loose, and because of the park's evacuation measures, everyone is congregated in one area. It feels scary. It's really good. And I gotta talk about the babysitter, who gets the most ridiculously drawn out and gruesome death in the whole franchise. I didn't notice this until I rewatched the movies for this video, but right before the mosasaur closes its mouth, you can see her arm! Obviously, there have been graphic deaths in the franchise before. Nedry's death in the book is crazy, and there was that guy from the second movie that got ripped in half. I don't have a problem with it, but it's the only moment like this in the whole trilogy. Apparently, the actress requested this death, but without that context, it reads so strangely. And it's probably the most intense part of the whole movie because the climactic fight is just a boring CGI fest. And I know everyone likes to clown on Claire running in heels, but I think I see what they were going for. I can't defend her curled hair, but Claire is a corporate woman who gradually sheds her pristine white outfit over the course of the movie. It is a character arc, as clunky and lazily executed as it is. Maybe she wants to wear the heels as a way to cling to her old self and maintain some strange sense of normalcy. Because, like I said, she's already taken off or altered the professional clothes she was wearing at the beginning of the film, which is a character choice. Or maybe the filmmakers just wanted Bryce Dallas Howard to wear less clothes. I don't want that to be the reason, but I think it is because of this deleted scene that I hate.
Did I miss a spot?
Yeah, just get that area.
And also, can I just say, this movie completely ripped off Ice Age 3 Dawn of the Dinosaurs. The Indominus actually looks pretty similar to Rudy, although I think Rudy is a baryonyx, just like based on his claws and the shape of his snout. Why am I still talking about this? Even the music in this movie feels misplaced. It feels like the wrong themes are playing at the wrong times, and it was done by Michael Giacchino, who I usually really like. Again, I like this movie. Whenever I watch it, I have a good time. I just wish it delivered on its promises a little more. It's not that it's lackluster, it's that it's only luster. It aims for the same commentary as the original with the commercial nature of the park. Everything in universe is sponsored by real-world brands like Hilton and Margaritaville. It's trying to make a statement about consumerism and animals in captivity, like the original Jurassic Park, but it doesn't explore its ideas as deeply as the original film or even the novel, and instead chooses to focus on the action. Jurassic Park, in my opinion, was never an action movie. It was more horror, but the dinosaurs in Jurassic World feel like monsters rather than animals. And my biggest gripe with this franchise is that it has the most bland, boring characters of all time. They are nothing more than action figures meant to be moved from place to place. But before I move on, I do want to say I love the website they made to promote the movie. I don't think it's up anymore, but it was like an in-universe webpage for the theme park, which had like a map and the exhibits and the profile of all the little dinosaurs. It was so cool. I love an immersive website. I might lose whatever limited credibility I have by saying this, but I love this movie. I love it for the same reason I like Jurassic Park 3 more than Jurassic Park 2. Alan. Sure, Jurassic Park 2 is like a real movie, but Jurassic Park 3 has a dinosaur that swallows a phone and then you can hear the phone ringing from inside its stomach. Jurassic World was directed by Colin Trevorrow, but Fallen Kingdom is directed by J.A. Bayona, and in my opinion, he did a fantastic job. In this installment, there is a volcano eruption that is set to wipe out all the dinosaurs living on the island, so Owen and Claire have to go back and rescue them. The movie tries to create this ethical debate of whether or not the dinosaurs should be rescued. On one side, the dinosaurs were brought back artificially into a time they don't belong in, and this eruption could be seen as an act of divine intervention. But on the other, they are living animals who don't deserve a second extinction. Also, Jeff Goldblum is here now, but his role is so small it's not worth getting into. The opening of this movie is really great. It's kind of goofy, but it pulls you right in. It's very exciting. Scenes like this are exactly what I want from a Jurassic Park movie. Then we, of course, have to catch up with Owen and Claire, and I can't get a read on these guys. They've both done a complete 180, and I'm not sure how they got there. Claire went from being an uptight businesswoman who views dinosaurs as assets to running a dinosaur protection group. Owen went from training velociraptors and raising them like they were his kids to being completely apathetic to the fact that they're all gonna die now. Claire's like, Owen, we have to save them. Your beloved Velociraptor Blue was alive on the island. And Owen's like, no, it's fine.
I'm going.
Don't.
If the first film laid the groundwork for this character development, or if there was more connective tissue between the first and second film, it would make sense, but as is, it just feels like these characters will be whatever the plot needs them to be at any given time. They also had kind of a romance in the first one, which I hated, but at the beginning of this movie, they're back to square one, so when they rekindle their romance later on in the film, it feels very redundant. They do eventually go to the island to rescue the dinosaurs, and the action here is fine. There's kind of a stupid scene where Chris Pratt is hit with a tranquilizer dart and has to wriggle away from incoming lava. It's not a bad idea. I like the concept of Owen being partially paralyzed or even just shot in the leg and having to run lopsided like Laura Dern in the first movie. But the scene just comes across as goofy because the lava in this movie is treated like it's boiling water. Another idea stolen from Ice Age. But I do really like the underwater scene with the gyrosphere. I'm pretty sure it's all one continuous shot, which is really cool, and I like that they brought back the gyrospheres. So what's weird about Fallen Kingdom is that it is a 2-act story. The first is the volcano, and the second is like a game of Clue. It takes place in a huge mansion, it all feels very gothic, and I think it is such a creative choice. I really, really like it. We are introduced to Hammond's partner. Hammond had a partner, I guess, but we're not hearing about him until just now, who has a granddaughter named Maisie, who travels from floor to floor of the mansion via dumbwaiter, which I think is very charming. There's also Eli, the assistant, who is evil, and if he's the bad guy in this movie, I really don't see the point of the partner, or maybe just have Eli be like Hammond's nephew, or we bring back Tim, he's evil now. At the beginning of the movie, Eli told Claire that he would be building a sanctuary for these dinosaurs, but he's actually planning to auction them off to the highest bidder. I have a bone to pick. I am far from the first person to point this out, but $10 million is way too cheap for a dinosaur. I'm pretty sure there are dinosaur skeletons that have been sold for like 5 times as much. The plan, I guess, is to use these dinosaurs in warfare, which is probably the most inefficient use I can possibly think of for a dinosaur. These guys seem to have a habit of going rogue and eating people whenever they feel like it. I don't know why you would ever use animals of any kind instead of machinery unless you are actively trying to lose. We also discover that Maisie, the granddaughter, is not a granddaughter at all. She's a clone of Hammond's partner's daughter.
He created another.
He made her again.
You know what I think? I think she should have been part dinosaur. If you're gonna be stupid, be all the way stupid. And that would have been a callback to the original plans for the Jurassic Park sequels. This is kind of a crazy reveal because it establishes that in this universe, cloning human beings is entirely possible if you have the means. The new big bad dinosaur of this movie is the Indoraptor, which is just the Indominus Rex, but with more raptor in it. And it's super smart and super dangerous, and it also understands the concept of a joke and is capable of smiling. The most memorable and exciting part of the movie, to me, is when the Indoraptor is loose in the house and chasing after Maisie. Kinda wish they would have brought the dumbwaiter back, like maybe she runs into the dumbwaiter to hide and she has to yank on the door like Ariana Richards in the first movie. But the scene where she runs to her room and hides in her bed from the dinosaur is pretty scary and very well done in my opinion. I just love the idea of a dinosaur loose in an old-timey mansion. But at the end of the movie, Maisie chooses to set all of the dinosaurs free. This is the worst kid, by far. So now, all of the dinosaurs are loose in our world, which I'm sure will have huge environmental and societal ramifications. What an interesting premise! I can't wait to see the sequel! The Jurassic World trilogy seems to follow a very similar pattern as the Star Wars sequel trilogy, which Colin Trevorrow was involved with for a time. I say pattern instead of formula because I don't think the sequel trilogy had a formula. The formula was the lack of formula. Jurassic World is The Force Awakens. It plays everything super safe. It's very closely aligned with the first movie. Fallen Kingdom is The Last Jedi in the sense that it makes a bunch of bonkers choices, and also both movies are directed very well. Visually, Fallen Kingdom is so creative. Everything about Fallen Kingdom is good in my opinion, except the script. The directing is great, the cinematography is great, the acting is fine. But the story and characters are just incomprehensible. It feels like a completely different movie from the previous one. It barely feels like a movie at all. It's just a series of events that I find very entertaining. Fallen Kingdom is a lot of things, but at least it's not boring. Jurassic World Dominion is one of the most boring movies I have ever seen in my life. I saw it in theaters, and I almost fell asleep. And it's a loud movie. Each film in this trilogy was released 3 years apart, so 2015, 2018, 2021. It's my personal headcanon that in between films 2 and 3, Bryce Dallas Howard felt like she had filmed one movie with Chris Pratt too many, and she was like, let me go do a gay movie to even things out. The story itself takes place across roughly the same timeline, so Dominion takes place years after Fallen Kingdom. Dinosaurs are now roaming free, and Claire and Owen are now raising Maisie. Again, not to keep harping on this, but I really would have loved to see how that happened. In the first film, Claire couldn't be bothered to watch her own nephews for an afternoon, and now she's willing to adopt a child she barely knows? Speaking of, I would love to check back in on the nephews from the first one, and the Judy Greer sister. It's very strange to me that they're not mentioned at all for the rest of the trilogy. I do love that this movie brings back Biosyn and Dodgesyn, and it also brings back the original trio. And they all share scenes together and are given their own subplot, something Star Wars failed to do. It almost feels like Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum just come from a different era of acting and film, which I guess technically they do, but when you see them on screen, it feels like people having a conversation versus actors saying lines. When the old and new generation meet up, it feels bizarre because it feels like they're from two completely different franchises. But unfortunately, their subplot sucks. They spend most of the runtime investigating locusts instead of dealing with the dinosaurs that they now have to coexist with. This movie had such a good premise that was set up perfectly in the previous installment, but Dominion could not be less interested in exploring it. I could watch 3 full hours of human-dinosaur interaction, but we barely get any at all. I was imagining something like the ending of Fallen Kingdom, or the ending of Jurassic Park 2. Imagine how cool it would have been if this movie really leaned into the horror. What if parts of it were like found footage? I've seen a bunch of fan-made short films like that here on YouTube, and they're great! It's such a good idea. But we don't get any of that at all, except this Scooter guy, who is basically this trilogy's unlucky bastard. My biggest problem with this movie is that there are no stakes at all. Dinosaurs just aren't scary anymore. There's a scene in this movie where Chris Pratt grabs a dinosaur by the throat. What are we doing here? Are they threats or not?
Go on, yeah.
The action and chase sequences in this movie feel like something out of Mission Impossible or like James Bond, but with dinosaurs. And for reasons that I don't understand, Dominion chooses to introduce more new characters and storylines instead of wrapping up what we have. There's this pilot here now, as well as Deachin Lackman. I recently watched Severance for no reason, and her character and performance were probably my favorite in the show, so I was very pleased to see her here. A lot of beautiful women in this franchise. We don't get enough time with these characters to really get to know them, so it just feels kind of pointless.
Still got it.
Okay, I don't know who you are. There's a bunch of new dinosaurs too. This movie's all over the place. It's somehow confusing and boring. There are too many characters and too many dinosaurs, and none of them are given any depth. And the only interesting characters are stuck dealing with bugs. Not only are the characters flat, they're never in any real danger. They get chased around a bit, but never killed or even injured too badly. I know nothing bad will happen to them, so why do I care? Outside of the original trio, there are no standout acting performances because nobody is given anything to do. With all that being said, are you ready for the greatest line delivery of all time?
There! We gotta get you off this plane!
What?
There is one exciting scene towards the end where Maisie is trying to climb a ladder and the dinosaur's jaws like clamp in around it. And this is kind of random, but why do they make everybody do the hand thing? I haven't brought up the hand thing until now, but like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? It's Chris Pratt's hand thing. Suddenly everybody's doing the hand thing. I hate the hand thing. And I don't care for the ending either. It's way too similar to the first film, which was way too similar to Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs. And it's all about the new dinosaurs, and the human characters aren't even involved. So the climactic fight is bad, and the actual ending of the movie is so abrupt. It's like an old monster movie. Alright, the mummy's dead, beat it. Like, the movie plods on for so long and then all of a sudden it's over and you're like, Fallen Kingdom is 2 acts. Dominion is just, and then this happens. It feels like a kid playing with their dinosaur action figures. It's not a satisfying ending to the trilogy, in my opinion. There's too many loose ends and unanswered questions, Maybe it would have been cheesy and overly nostalgic, but I honestly would have liked to see more returning characters in favor of new ones. I genuinely really think they should have brought back Lex and Tim. Jurassic Park was interesting because it used dinosaurs sparingly, and because it was a story about the hubris of man. It's a Frankenstein type tale. There are glimmers of that in this movie and in this trilogy as a whole, but it just gets lost in the noise of everything else. So those are my thoughts on the Jurassic World trilogy. If there was anything I left out, just assume it was boring and I don't care about it. I'm still not sure what to make of Rebirth. It looks less and less good the more I see of it, but my hopes aren't completely dashed yet. I could probably review it if you guys want me to. I truly believe the Jurassic World franchise could have been good. It has really good ideas. All of these movies had an interesting premise that was then completely abandoned in favor of more action and more spectacle. It fails to make any meaningful commentary, and it's so inconsistent as a series. There is basically no through line. I feel like this trilogy is indicative of the way filmmaking and blockbusters have changed, and it's not as simple as old movie good, new movie bad, because let's be honest, the original Jurassic Park trilogy was also pretty disjointed, and there are plenty of interesting directions this franchise can take. I've heard that the cartoons on Netflix are pretty good. When you make movies this big, profit will always be prioritized over storytelling, and when the original story was anti-consumerist, it kind of kneecaps whatever message you're trying to send. And because of that, I think there was never any hope for this trilogy. But it doesn't matter what I think, does it? These movies made bonkers bananas money. Of course they're gonna make more, and I probably will keep seeing them. I am genuinely very interested to see where the franchise goes from here. Maybe Rebirth will kick off a new trilogy with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. Maybe they'll start making prequels. Maybe Tim will get his own movie. Man, it really is a shame Joe Mazzello never had any other starring roles as an adult. Wait, oh my god! How could I have forgotten? He was in the Pacific! Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you liked me, be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want, you can even turn notifications on so you'll be the first to know the next time I'm traveling from floor to floor of my mansion via dumbwaiter. You can also click the join button here on YouTube to become a member, or join my Patreon. You get a bunch of perks, including exclusive content. Just posted a review of Severance and of How to Train Your Dragon, and I would really appreciate your support. Anyways, that's going to be all from me. I've got to go practice running in heels. Bye!